Okay, good morning. This is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching. It is 11/7/2025, Friday morning, and let's get rolling on the trading so that we know what we're going to do today. So, there's something important that everyone needs to know whether you man. So, first of all, let's address first things. I have posted up a new algo trader. Okay, I posted it in the general chat. I would run this today as opposed to the 1 minute trader. It is performing better. It didn't do great yesterday, but it didn't do horrible either considering it's long only. It was up $217. And there'll be a third version because they'll be modified over the weekend. So let me show you this. What this is showing, what this is doing is carrying over from the 1 minute trader whenever we get these double squares. Okay, so it's these double squares, double squares, double squares. That's generating these green lines. Okay, so if you're looking at the chart on your screen, now everyone can download it and most everyone should be able to see it, right? Almost everyone's on the Trader Assist. Okay, when you see these lines, okay, the way it's programmed currently is it takes the first green bar up after the green line's posted. So if we go through yesterday, and if you look overnight, right, green line, green bar, variant on a green bar, right? Green line, first green bar, that would be a stop. Okay, so that's the first piece. Okay, so that makes it easier for you to know so you don't have to stare at both charts. You go, oh, I got the hard press down on the 1 minute. I can now take my green bar, and it has to happen within X number of bars, and it has to be on the turn bar in order for it to take it. The way I would change, the way it will change, there'll be a second variant, right? And that variant will be once it gets this green line, okay, in order to go long below the 200, it has to have a double square either on top or below. So green line, double square. That means this trade will go away right here. This trade will go away, and this trade would go away. Those three trades, it'll restrict it pretty strongly underneath the 200, right? But what you end up getting is really strong trades, right? It's a pretty easy adjustment here. This is yesterday. So you can see we're moving down. This is a double square. I know you can't see it because it's covered up, but that's the long, right? And then you'll see it goes through a long period of time because it needed the double squares down. So it's trading pretty specifically. So here, the way I'm going to adjust it, green bar, double square up. That'll be the line. So as you go through here, this trade goes away. That was a stop anyways, but that trade goes away. Now above the 200, a single square will take it. There's one underneath it. So that would be your long right there. So it changes above the 200. It's a single square. So this trade goes away. This trade fires. That's probably a stop. Now underneath, this trade goes away. That trade fires. So that's how we're going to adjust it. You don't have to run it today if you don't want to. It's been performing fine the last couple of days to the long side. So under the 200, it'll require a double square to the long side. And instead of being on the turn bar, it'll be the first double square that comes up. So this goes away, this goes away, this goes away. That's all 2100 hours, right? And if you look, like if you go back a couple days ago, like over, right? And then it's just the first bar. So that would fire long. That would fire long. Nothing through here. Now we're underneath the 200. So now we're over. This fires long. It's the first double square. So that's how the trade will be adjusted. I haven't had a chance to talk to Bill. We'll get it done today sometime, or Sean. One of us will adjust it. But that's the adjustment to be made. And so if you're manually trading, so now how does that work, right? So if you download the chart and you're looking at it, this is pretty simple, right? If you get the line over here, you don't have to go look at the 1 minute. You can go, oh, there's the 1 minute. I'm looking for underneath the 200, a double square, and over the 200, single square. That's the adjustment. And so it's going to get simpler to make your trading decisions. That's number one item I needed to address. I am running this today. Okay. And I'm running the 1 minute trader as well, because even though it was down yesterday, it's down in a 500-point down market and it's doing its job. I don't like that it's down, but it's performing the way it's supposed to perform. And you have a simple choice. VIX has jumped. Okay. Currently, VIX is at 20.36. Okay. So it is elevated, right? We have a harder time sometimes with the algos and everything else. You have to adjust your trading style, and you should be tying your journal to the VIX. Okay. So, so, apologies, I got distracted. So, what was I going to say? Sorry. So, hold on a sec. Did I already post this? Okay, there you go. So, okay, so that's the next piece. So, also, okay, what I wanted to address now, the white bar, right? So, if you look at this very carefully, right? Okay, so the first thing you have to understand on stats, if you have a 90% win rate, which I'm not saying we did, but if you have a 90% win rate, right? Your next trade has a 50-50 chance of winning, even with a 90% win rate, because you don't know where the random loss will be distributed. So let's go through and do something from yesterday, right? And I'm going to use my other chart for this. I think I changed the 40 tick to a 24. Here we go. What I said yesterday was I was looking for the white bar on the turn underneath the 200. Okay. I'm going to go through yesterday and show the wins and losses. And if you're aggressive or you're a very good trader, you can take the bars later down, right? So watch. Someone keep count with me. I'm going to do my best to keep count, but you know my ADD self. I'm going to go past 9 o'clock because I think it was difficult before then and we usually don't trade. And I'm going to go to starting at 9 o'clock. Okay. Underneath the 200. 1. Keep going. This didn't have more than one bar up. I wouldn't have counted that either way. Stop. Above the 200, but still, you may have been caught in the moment. Stop, no problem. Turn, but above the 200, right? No problem whether you took it or not, right? I probably took it because I thought we were going lower, but doesn't matter. It was above the 200, right? Questionable as to whether you took it, but so far, even if you didn't have the 200, right? So far, you are at, starting at 9 o'clock, you're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trades, right? Of those 5, 2 stopped, right? Of the ones that didn't stop, they extended between 20 and 30 points at minimum. And let's say your stop was or more, right, on the trailer. And let's say your stop was 20, you lost 40 points on these two, you covered off on these two, and if you left a trailer, even 1 micro, you hit the home run. Let's keep going. White bar on turn. That's trade 6. So you're 4 for 2. Trade 7. 5 of 7 now. Trade 8. Trade 9. Trade 10. Trade 11. We're going to count that as a stop because if you were generally getting extensions, odds are you didn't cover that. Very quickly. Trade 12. Trade 13. Trade 14. I think you're at 3 stops so far. Trade 15. Trade 16. Not 3 bars up, so if you don't want to count it, that's fine. Trade 17. 3 stops so far. Trade 18. That was a break even at best. Trade 19. Trade 20. Stop. There's your 3rd stop on the day, or 4th. Trade 21 with 4 stops so far. Trade 22, that was break even, but it was profitable. Trade 23. Trade 24. Stop. Trade 25. Trade 26. Trade 27. And I'm going to end it there because almost no one would have traded past 2:30 in the afternoon. 4 or 5 stops, 27 trades. You should have had massive P&L in that. Let me tell you where that goes wrong, okay? And I'm going to use Tim as the example. So this morning, Tim sent me a message right over here. And he was flustered, which is fine. That's part of trading. Tim got up to trade 6 a.m. So I didn't know Tim was trading at 6 a.m. But if he was, and he would have told me, I would have said, hey, the 10 minutes before 6 o'clock and the 5 minutes after can be pretty damn difficult because algos fire overnight. If you look right at the top of the hour of each hour, algos tend to fire in this little window right here, sometimes to your benefit, sometimes to your detriment, but it doesn't really matter. Let me explain why. Let's say Tim got up at 3 a.m. to trade, okay? And Tim thought we were going lower, like I did, okay? Trade 1, trade 2, trade 3, trade 4, trade 5, stop, because it didn't extend and Tim probably thought it was going down. Okay, trade 6, stop, because Tim thought it was probably going lower. Trade 7, Tim got paid, except there was one problem. Tim got flustered right here and he tried to take this double square down. And there's nothing wrong with taking this double square and this double square. If you're an expert and you're going to keep taking the rest of your turns, your white bars on the turn, right? I'm going to say that again. If you're an expert and you're going to keep letting it play out. So let's show all the trades, how this would have worked out for Tim. But as it was, Tim didn't start trading over there. Tim started trading over here. Okay. So the reality of what Tim got was trade 1, stopped. Trade 2, stopped. Trade 3, stopped. Tim's really upset now because he's down $1,000. That's okay, right? But Tim goes, F this, it doesn't work, and doesn't take this trade right here, which gets him all the way back from 25,150, let's call it, to 25,050 on his trailer, right? I'm not saying he would have entered and covered it perfectly. But the point was, he either covers off his losses, or he certainly reduces his down significantly, right? And then he can take this right over here, which puts him profitable, right? Now, let's go back. Because this is the good thing that Tim did this morning. He followed a process, right? And I've been talking about this for the last couple of days. He followed a process, right? So now I can correct him. Tim, don't take this. Don't take this. Don't take this. Instead, do this. Take this, stop. Take this, stop. Take this, paid. Take this, paid. Okay? Now, and if you want, you can take this and this on the turn as well. Paid and paid before it ripped, and you can take this as well and get paid. Now it's a totally different picture. But what the important thing that Tim did there, right? The important thing that Tim did was that he stayed on process. So now I can go, so now instead of it being a cluster of, well, I took this trade and that trade and the fourth trade and the fifth trade and I did this and I did that and I'm short, long, and mixed up, I can go, dude, just scoot over to the right 1 inch. Just take it on the turn, white bar. If the $1,000 stop on 3 trades, right, bothers you, cut your trade size in half or 40% and do the same trade with 6 micros. Or if you're trading 10 contracts, do it with 6 contracts, whatever you have to do, right, whatever you have to do to, hold on a second here. Okay, never mind. I don't know what that is. Sorry. Go ahead. Now he has an easy adjustment for today on how to make his money. Pretty straightforward, right? The last thing he wants to do is he doesn't want to adjust to just this market, right? So let's go back a little bit. Okay. So first of all, there's an important rule to this white bar that's very, very important if you don't want to get smoked. So the context has changed in the market. The market is down. This is 1028, right? Just a week ago, and the market kept rotating up very, very strongly. So if Tim comes back with the same trades, right? Look at how this works. It's a little bit different, right? It's a little bit different. So watch. We're going to start at 9 in the morning, and I'm going to go contra because it's trend up, right? So I would never suggest this in a trend up, but this is how it ends up if he stays on process, right? We'll start at 9 o'clock, just like we normally do. 9:04, white bar down. Okay, on the turn, stop, stop, paid, paid, stop, break even, stop, paid. Okay, so there, let's say Tim comes back to me, man, Simon, I had some wins, but I got my ass kicked. So the first thing I'm going to say is, you don't want to be shorting if you have both the 100 above the 200, and we're pretty much on trend day up. You just didn't read the trend day to begin with, right? He actually wanted the opposite. He wanted, I would say, you need to see how this is easy because he's on a process, right? Tim, blue squares up on the turn is what you were looking for. Blue squares, I'm going to say that again. I'm going to come over here and shift them. I'm going to go, no, no, no. We're in an up market now, right? You can trade the white bars down if you want, but this, right? Blue squares on the turn in this environment, right? There's a stop. Oh no, it's a second bar, excuse me. There's your entry. So he's going to have to be patient. Blue square on the turn, there he's paid again. Big time, right? And the other adjustment, so let's say Tim comes back and says, no, 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 Simon, I only want a short, which would be retarded, but maybe he would. Okay, I'm going to show, well, look, you're going to take a lot of stops in that process unless you're way away from these moving averages, and even then it's harder. And what we want to do is go to the easy trades, right? We want to go to the easy trades. So when you're above the 200, unless you know we're going down, so there's some context you can use, like the last couple of days, where you go, oh, we're clearly, we're trending up, we're over the 200. I'm looking for blue squares on the turn up. But that's your pivot, right? Now, that has one requirement, that you can generally tell whether we're in an up market, a down market, or a balanced market, right? And that requires some work, right? That requires some work. Hold on a sec. Okay, so you'll have to switch, right? And Tim, one of the ways that Tim will be able to switch is he'll be able to come over here and go, when VIX is at 14 or 15, this thing operates differently. So I would not, so the rule here is when VIX is lower, like here it was at 14 or 15, right? And we'll go over here. So we go back over here, and what we need in order to make those white bars work is this. See how all of a sudden we get underneath here? Now look at it. We're under the 200. See how we come back? White bar down. Now under here, I'm going to say if you're going to go long, you need double squares. White bar down, white bar down. Now he's going to get stopped. I know this is 830, so sorry. He's going to get stopped over here, right? That's fine. That's 835. Everyone already knows. Now an impulse moves up. Now I'm going to switch. I'm above the 200. I'm looking for blue squares to the long side. Now guess what? Here's where people get flustered. See all this where it just didn't produce a blue square on the turn, right? Sometimes that happens, just green bar and go. That's all right. If Tim will stay on process, here's his trade right there. That's his first blue square on the turn, right? If he goes through this day, I don't know if he gets any more, quite frankly. He doesn't. Day over. That's okay. But the one trade he had was profitable, right? And what he didn't do, unless he's an expert, is he didn't take these white bars on the turn up here because he was above the 200. And guess what? Even if he was bearish, he stayed just fine. And if you'll go through this long enough, right, we'll find a down day in here. Here, we went to the downside underneath here, right? So we got into the cradle. That's aggressive because we're in the cradle. It doesn't necessarily have to roll. And remember what Tim is doing, right? He's looking for, if he's above, he's looking for a blue square on the turn. If he's below, right? For the long, he wants double squares. And for the short, right? There's his trade right there. He got paid. Not here, so he got paid trade one, trade two. I don't know about y'all, but if I'm trading two contracts, I'm up pretty close to $1,000 on that trade between those two trades, right? And as I go through the rest of the day, if I'm looking for long, I need a double square underneath, right? I need a double square underneath on the turn in order to go long, right? And if I'm so you could argue that this is out of tweezer's bottom, so it's a little bit harder. It was here. Maybe he took a stop. But look, if he took a stop, right, he's over here. Short, short, short. Tim's having a pretty damn good day, right? And all he had to do stop. All he had to do was wait, stop, and win for his white bars underneath. Doesn't take that, right? And he may get stopped over here, but if he keeps playing out his odds and leaving his trailers, he's going to get paid. Okay. And if he can line up location and all that other stuff, even better. So what am I looking for today? Right? So let's go through what I'm looking for. I don't know if we're going to go up or down at all. I have no freaking clue. Where I've made money this morning is, shockingly, on white bars down. That's where I've made money today. Okay. I was trading mostly between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. Okay. So I got this. I didn't get this. I missed this one. And that's about where I put out that video this morning. Let me see what time I posted it to the room. I posted this at 5:32. So this is where I posted the video. Right? So it took a minute to process. But what I was talking about was right over here. And I thought when I saw this that we were going to go, that we were here. I thought we were going to go significantly lower. Or maybe it was somewhere over here. I think it was over here, right? I thought we were going to roll down pretty hard. Oh, it was right at 25,200. I remember. So it was right here. I thought we were going to break lower, right? But I didn't take it. So this is very, very important, right? So this is where I did take it, I think. I don't remember anymore, right? So, so, um, so this, right? This. So I did not trade here because I had to go get my kids ready, right? Otherwise, I can tell you right now, had I been there, I would have taken this, this, and this. I'd have had stop, stop, win. Why? Because I've trained my brain. Why? Because of what happened yesterday. We're underneath the 200, and we're not underneath both the 200 and the 100, but I thought we were going to roll lower. That's all there was to it. I thought we were going to roll lower, and I'm very focused just on one setup, one concept, one idea, right? So for me today, going back to my chart book now, okay, what do I need to see? First of all, in order to go long underneath, if I go long underneath, I'm going to need a double square on the turn, and I'm going to accept that I may get smoked if I'm trying to pick off the bottom. I don't think there's a reason to pick off the bottom. If you want to have fun, it's hard, right? It's mentally draining to keep picking off the bottom. I'm going to look for above the 200. If the 100 crosses above the 200, right, and we are holding above that, I will look for blue square on the turn. I may not get a trade, right? But I'm looking for blue square on the turn because I know that works very well. Okay, not at the third bar up, not the fourth bar up. Okay, if I get one of these green bars come across the line, which everyone should have now, right? And I get a double square up like this. Let me show you. Let me make it big because I know this chart's harder to read with all the noise I have on it. Like this. Like this. I'll go back further and I'll show you yesterday. I want the downside. Well, that was at the close, so not. Oh, up here, if I get the single square on the turn, so like we're above the 200, right? So if I can get a square up, we're above the 200 here, so I might have even taken this, but it was the last hour and I thought we were going to close on the low, so there's no way I would have taken that. Again, above the 200, if this blue square had been on the turn, I would have taken that, right? Yes, above the 200. Below the 200, I need a double square up. You can see I just don't get it. The first one printed, but it was so far away, I would have never have taken that, right? Again, blue square, it prints here. Okay, so on the turn is more conservative, but you can use this as a one bar stop as an entry to get the break to the upside. So double square below the 200, single square on the turn. And then if you're going to take the double square and you're above the 200, if you're going to take the square and it's above the 200, it needs to be a double square if it's not on the turn. I'm going to say it again. If it's not on the turn, you're going to need to take the double square above. If it's on the turn, it can be a single square, and we can go a long way. Now, most of you, almost everyone in the room is big boys and girls, right? Y'all know what you're doing in terms of taking trades. Okay, so you know what your process is. So just small adjustments along the way, right? I'm aware that it's going to be a volatile day and that we're going to swing up and down a lot. The swings have been 100 to 200 points. The range has been 300 to 500 points, right? So I'm going to give it room. I'm going to be less reactive in a smaller point, and I'm looking for very specific things with risk control. If we go down and we're underneath, I'm going to be trading those white bars on the turn. I just am. I'm good at it. No guessing, right? Follow your process. Manage your risk control. I've heard of several people go, oh, well, I didn't check this or I didn't check that before I started trading. I've heard from multiple people. I had accounts that I didn't want trading firing off on my Trader Assist. I had accounts that I did want trading that I didn't put into my Trader Assist. Take 5 minutes right now, do a checklist and go, I have gone through each one of these accounts. My size is correct, my trade is correct, and I'm willing to accept the risk that's going to go off on those accounts today and do it step by step. Here's what I'm not willing to do today. I'm not willing to guess whether they'll turn, whether we'll close on the low or we'll close on the high. I'm not willing to guess on any of that today because I think the market could be pretty hard. And I'm not sure if we close up 500 or down 500 today, or if it just turns into a nothing day. I don't know, right? And I'm simply, when the market's flying super fast, like we just cleared 48 to 86, 50 points in under 20 seconds. I'm not willing to trade in that environment because I'm not willing to get smoked and run over on my stops. I can't place them quick enough, right? Even using OCOs, you'd need to widen them. Is it like you would enter a trade and get stopped instantly? That sucks. So I'm going to let them clear all that out. We have ISM numbers this morning. We don't have a lot of data, so the market's more likely to respond. At 9 a.m., we have 9 to we have U of M. That's what it is, right? Mirren speaks at 2 o'clock. We have consumer credit at 2 o'clock. We have Trump greets the Hungarian prime minister at 10:30. Who knows what he'll say? And that's my story. That's all I'm doing. This is a profitable market to trade in, but you've got to be selective and you've got to be controlled or you will get crushed. I posted a new algo. I'm running that algo today. Okay, it's this one right here. And it does exactly what I said. Like I said, there'll be an improvement if you don't want to run it today. There'll be an improvement in that it'll switch to below the 200. The first trade that it'll take, this is the adjustment I'll make to it, is it has to have a in order to go long, okay, it'll either be, I'll test both variants, it'll either have to have a single square or double square, but it'll be, I think what I'm going to do is under the 200, it has to print the first double square, whether it's on the turn or not. That'll be the long, and then over the 200, it'll be the first single square that it prints. But the problem we'll run into is like if we get this would end up being the first bar that it would print. So that would be frustrating. Conversely, if we did it over here, this ends up being the first bar and it works out fine. This ends up being the first bar, it works out fine. So there'll be a little bit of, I need to run it to make sure it works the way I think it'll work in my head, which sometimes is not the case, right? And I will let it go from there, okay? If you are frustrated or in trouble or having a hard time following process, just say it out loud. Sometimes just saying it out loud, like right in the room, I'm having a hard time following process, right? If you're having a hard time following process, right, do a checklist. The first thing in that checklist is the trade I just took on my process, yes or no, right? If your process says take white bar on turn and you took this white bar down here, I don't give a shit if it's profitable. It doesn't matter, right? You should be taking this white bar right there. That should be your entry. And if it's not, flatten, stop, and go back and examine what's in your head, right? What's the predominant thought or logic that is in your head that made you take that trade? What do you want more? It's almost always, I want more money. I'm just telling you right now. It is almost always, I want more money. Okay? That is almost the predominant logic 100% of the time, no question in my head. And so therefore I took the trade. Get out of the money, get into the trade. Get into the managing of the trade and how beautiful like just like they say in football, right? No one ever goes, "Oh, he broke for 100 yards. That's going to be another $100,000 on his contract." Everyone goes, "That was a beautifully designed play. Look at the blocks. Look how he ran it. Executed perfectly. Bam, they won the game." That's how you want to run your game here, right? So what should be in your mind right now is we're below the 100, we're below the 200, right? What trades do I want to take? Is it in my trade plan to take double square long on the first bar? If it is, that was your trade. Not at 8:30 and 43, hopefully in the morning, but that was your first trade. If your trade is, I go long on white bar on the turn, or variant thereof, the blue bar was your entry, right? There's your 100 points if you took it. I did not. I don't trade at 8:33 in the morning. That's in my plan, right? I'm not trading that. I'm coaching, right? That is how I am going to trade. I'm telling you right now, that's how I'm going to trade it today. I have no idea how the market ends up today. I don't care. I'm not going to guess where it's going to reverse, even if it comes off these traps down here, by the way, which I showed this morning, right? At 24,400. Where's my profile chart? Sorry. This chart right here, my hourly. Even if I get down here, right, and we take out that 24,400, which I think will create a huge swing opportunity, right? Even if we get down here, I will not go long off process, even if I think it's going to go a bajillion points, right? Why? Because I have no plan for doing this other than I know it'll set up a good swing. I don't have a way of doing it and managing the risk the way I would want to manage it, right? All I know is if I trade underneath here, I trap back up in here and I get over the 200, I'll start looking for longs. That's how I will do it because that's the only thing that fits into my process. Or I'll get the little green line. I'll trap back in above this 24,410, right? And I'll go, great, we're above that 24,410. And then I will come all the way over here and go, I need a little green line and I need a double square up. And that's how I'll trade it. And I don't even know if that'll materialize, but that's what I'll do, right? And now I don't have to worry about the rest of it, right? I don't have to worry whether we go down 1,000 points or up 1,000 points. Because if you did the same thing day in, day out, and I would challenge you to do that, take those white bars down below the 200, go back 6 months. If that's the only trade you ran, you would report two things. Shit, I went through some weeks and I didn't get a single trade. And B, wow, it's really profitable. Those would be the two answers you would give me. Just like above the 200, if you took that blue square on the turn, you would report the exact same thing to me because I can prove it to you and you can prove it to me, right? And as you can see, our indicator doesn't go away, right? Once it prints, it prints. You don't have to worry about, oh, it's going to go away in 5 minutes. It's there, right? So had this been a white bar on the turn, you get 3 bars up. Had it been a white bar on the turn, off it floors down. By the way, this was the largest volume bar. This 24,064, that was the largest volume bar off the bottom. It was, if you go to pre 8 o'clock, this was the biggest seller. If you look, right? First it was this guy, right? And then it became this guy. So I'm just going with auction market theory. The latest is the greatest. So you had it one of two ways. You could combine them and go like this, right? So you can see you have your biggest seller, right? You can have your biggest seller and off you go to the races, right? You get over them, orthodox close above, and it rips, right? 50, 60, 80 points, whatever it was, okay? Up on top, this guy's your biggest buyer right there. Get underneath them. Just works like a ping pong, right? You fall away. Okay. Come over here, biggest seller, gets on top, backside test, runs up. As you run up, this guy becomes your biggest buyer, right? Now adjust. If you got your biggest buyer, you don't want to be underneath your biggest buyer, right? So it looks like this. Orthodox close underneath your biggest buyer. See ya. Okay. That's how that works. And then just plug the pieces in off your 24 tick to work. So now this morning, you throw out the 830 bar because it's the biggest volume. So now the player you want to get past is this guy right here, and not by much. Just like that. 9.8 to 3.2. Right as of right now, you've got to get above 3.2 to come back and retest the 09 to 3.4. And guess what? If you recover the 3.4, you're probably going higher because that's also the, well, it's not quite IB high, but it's the pre-market, that pre-market high right there. That's what you have to break above. So write that in your notes. How do you know when we're reversing today? Okay, well, one really big clue, and I always used to miss this when I was a younger trader. You get above this area right over here, it's critical. Every short in the world's going to want to cover. Now, does that mean it will take off for 500 points to the upside? I don't know. But I do know that it has to get over that to have a big update today. So I'm going to be in tune with that area, that 25,134. And what I'm not going to do is see them V-shape it back the other way and go, oh, there's no way they reverse it and have it above 25,134. I'm not going to sit there and keep shorting above 25,134. It's very simple for me. I want to keep below 25,134 if I'm a bear. I want to be above 25,134 if I'm a bull. And that's pretty straightforward, basic technical analysis trading. But what happens is we get so lost in the PA, you can't forget about it. So write it down, have it in front of you, set an alarm. If we're above 25,134, right? Don't sit there trying to get it to reverse all day long because we can go trend up on a Friday, okay? The market may not go to zero today and still be in a down market. But bear market rallies are very, very vicious and very, very difficult to handle if you don't know what you're doing. Okay, so I'm just telling you right now, 25,134, don't freaking ignore it. Okay, he was your biggest buyer. They lost him. They rolled it down. If they get back above, he's going to gain confidence and come right back in and rocket that thing the other way. And oh, why is this messed up? Oh, there we go. By the way, this guy's now your biggest buyer right here. So obviously underneath them, we fall away. And there's an important and to this topic. Okay. The and is this. I need to show you all this. So first of all, this is the high, a little bit over 26,200. We're at 24,9,700, right? If we get down a little bit more, we'll be 2,000 points off the high, if my math is right. 26, 20, well, excuse me, 24, 26, whatever it is. I can't do, my ADD sucks when I do this, but it's a lotta, okay? The balance is up in here, right? Above that 25,432, which we broke down from. You can see they moved acceptance lower. Now, if you go back a little bit, to March, okay, see this? Down market. Do you see that? We went down a lot. 21,800, 2,100, and then we fell even more in April. Now look at the closes before you get mega bearish, right? Down market, right? Close on high, close near low, close top mid, close on high, close near low, close on high, close near low, close on mid, close on mid, close near low, close near high, That's an up day, but close top third, close near low, close near high, close at mid, close on high, gap away, close on high. Remember, that's a down market, right? That's a down market. Now look at April when it gets ugly. Okay, here we go. Early April, right? Everyone remembers this. It was ugly, right? Look at the down move. If you don't get this, you will get smoked on the up rotations. Okay? Close on low, close on low, close on low. Oh, we're in a bear market. Close on high, close on high, close on high, close on low, close on mid, close on mid, close near the low, close on high. Let's get a few more days in there so I get the point across really, really well. That was the low. Close at mid, high, high, mid, lower mid, 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 upper mid, low, high, 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 high. Now, if you're having a conversation, right? If you're having a conversation and you are deciding that the market's going to close on the low, the odds are incredibly against you. Okay? The odds are incredibly against you. It's the exception, not the rule. Okay? So follow what you want. I'm fine with it. I will not encourage you to keep shorting near the bottom of the day. Okay? Because you're going to get crushed. Okay? Anyways, that's my 2 cents. I'm waiting patiently. Again, white bar down or variance thereof, orange, blue, etc. on the turn. Okay, that's what I'd be focused on. We have econ in 12 minutes. I have no idea how that works out. I know I need to be above 25.03250 to go higher. And so far we've held that. And I'm not in a guess-a-rama kind of mood. And I don't have the algo firing off on anything yet, right? Does anyone have any questions? If you'll stay on process, you'll have a pretty good day. Cool, Brian. And don't guess. I keep saying that because that's my worst trading habit. I guess which way it's going to go. I don't want to do that. It's just too easy when it works. Who cares? Right? It's just too easy when it works. So now you're going to have everyone squaring. Bassnets says we're on our way to solving China's chokehold on rare earths. Oh, I got a good question. Where's Grok? Light bar down on turn. Push it into the 200. Above the 100. White bar down with X number of minutes left to go. Needs to be Elderson's making comments. I didn't want to make that whole area support, but as you can see, you really needed the whole area. I guess I could back it up to this 4.9 now that I look at it. They use the very back of it. When we're strong, they would just use the top. When we're weak, they use the back of those support zones. And 5 minutes until econ. I'll be right back in 2 seconds. Let's get them squozed up. This was your biggest seller overnight. So you got to smoke that guy too. So it kind of ends up overlapping a little bit. So you got to get above 25,109. I'm telling you, that's where the trap is, in these two areas right over here. And then you have this guy right here. They're going right to him. See that? He's your biggest seller. He's got to defend. Going into the number, we'll see. And then you just kind of go from there. So I won't even trade the 2 minutes after. I'm just going to let it settle and see. We're over the 200. We're over the 100. I'm going to respect that, right? I'm just going to see what it does. I'm fine coming in on days like today and cleaning up later and not being overly active in the morning, right? They looked above that 32 and they said, nah, nah, not yet. I'm telling you, if you're trading this right when it releases like that, you're going to get that. So I'm just telling you, give it 5 minutes to settle at least, is what I'm doing. Because who the hell wants to get just smashed? And that's 50 points of rotation there, right there. And it's 9 a.m. Let's see what we do. Let's see what we do. Have they had enough? Do they cry uncle or do they come in and sell it? It's about a 100-point rotation there from 8:56 to 9 o'clock, 4 minutes. You should be keeping up with that too, by the way, guys, in your head. Like, we've been at this for a long time, but just go, hey, what's the rotation here? So you set the expectation before you get overly bearish or overly bullish on something, right? That's all I'm arguing. I'm going to guess the point of control is not going to shift off the first hour. So it's right there at 24,996. That's another thing you have to be above. We have to be above 24,996 to go higher, right? That point of control, which is right on that, it's a prior day's low at 99650. We've got to be above 99650 in order to go up. Again, if you just set little things up, They don't have to mean we are going up. It just means that we got to be past that in order to go up. It's kind of like in order to go in Manhattan, you have to cross a bridge, go underneath, in a tunnel, or you're gonna fly in on a helicopter, right? But that's the three ways to get into Manhattan, right? Or get on a boat, four ways, right? You're not going, right? You may not be going to Manhattan, but you cannot get to Manhattan without doing one of those four things, right? Or being born there, I suppose. But you got to do one of those things in order to get there. Now, you may be traveling in New York on a highway and not going to Manhattan, right? And that's fine. Okay. All I'm saying is, in order for it to get to that point, you're going to have to cross this point. That's my, and once I understand that, I can go, once I cross 24,996, I can go, oh, we might be going to 25,200, right? Which is what I have as the next support resistance area. Usually what happens in these markets is people get overly bearish and we rally like a bastard at some point. However, a bastard might rally. I haven't clicked my mouse since 5:40 this morning, I think. Oh, there's your new big seller. Again, that's going to line right up. There's your sell bar. Above 25,032, right? Off you go to the races. Still all the way up here. Below the 100, below the 200. I'm going to keep saying it. At some point today, our trades will set up, right? But you do not have to guess as to when. That the market's up or down 500 or 300 simply does not matter to your profitability one way or the other than to say we have to have range and movement, and we have that. Double square up. I'm not taking that. I'm not trading off the bottom. Not to the long side, not for me. I'll pick up the pieces if it breaks out. That would be why. That hasn't, neither one of those have taken a trade yet today. That's from yesterday. Testing the low of the day. I have no desire to pick off the low of the day. Someone who's smarter, way smarter than I am. 24,878 is the next possibility of an inflection point. I'd rather get underneath 24,806 and then you have the levels lower, right? All we got to do is survive today. Doesn't matter how far the market drops. Eventually it's going to start turning up and down, right? All you got to do is not get your ass kicked on the way down, or if it's going straight up, don't get your ass kicked shorting it on the way up. It'll go into a balance at some point. Worst case scenario. Down 1.38%, hitting new lows on NQ. Hey Siri, set an alarm for 2:50 p.m. to call Johnny, Adam's friend. And that 24,878 should act as an inflection point. Again, I'm not picking off anything off the low because I'm not going to get buried on a steamroll to the downside. I'll wait till the momentum comes in and I'll pick it up from there. I'm quite aware we're down a lot already, down 350. And again, I'd like to take out 24,806 and retrap on that or get back above 25,000, one of the two. And I can let someone else who's far smarter than me run this show. Remember, 100 point, we just had a rotation from 25,032 to 24,881, right? Over 150 points. 100 points up from 24,882 would not be shocking. That would pitch you at 25,882, right? So just have proportion in your head when you're looking at it. Don't short blindly just because you want to short. Don't go long blindly just because you want to long. Do it on a process, just like Tim did this morning, so I can correct it. You can correct it, right? You know which way to step, right? And they used the 24,878. We didn't quite get to it, but they tried. There's your almost your 100. Is that our biggest seller of the morning too? It is. So now this guy, I want to hold above. If we can print this bar with an orthodox close above them, that's also the first step. We still have to clear 25,032. Obviously, that's the swing. There must be, that's usually driven by news of some sort. I don't see anything. And I'm not interested again in just blindly shorting. Because I close this door, someone's using an electric saw. I mean, a gas chainsaw. There's your white bar down, but over the 200 and the 100. And that's exactly why I wasn't shorting, because that's an 875. It's a 140 point rally so far. We're over the two. So look, it context changes over the 200, over the 100. All your channels are pointed up. Is that a reversal? I don't know. All I know is we're over the 200 and it works best under, right? And I didn't get smoked all the way up here thinking, oh, we're going to reverse down. I'm just waiting patiently. I'm going to let it develop until I recognize exactly what I want, and then I'm going to take my money. Right? The 878 was potential. So let's get this redrawn. You got to get above 25,032. because that was the opening print, right? That's the high before the open. Let's see, 830, what do we need? Oh, I take it back. Here we go. Okay, get reoriented. Above 25,134, we've reversed on the day, right? We're above the high. This was my biggest seller at the open, so I need to get above 25,032. Okay, that's the bar, but that's where I need to reverse out of. This was my biggest seller at the low, the 24,996. It would make sense to come back and backside test it, maybe the 946, right? And I need above the 032 because the top of the 032 is my biggest seller, right? So 06 to 032 is now resistance from a various volume standpoints, right? As soon as we get above that 200, those white bars have a much harder time working. And we're down multiple days in a row, which is why I'm not screaming to short, 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 short. I want to be underneath the 200 to short. I want to be above the 200 to go long. And I'm uncertain where we will turn. And if that's important to you, this is definitely the wrong room, right? Because I'm not great, other than generally going, well, this is what I look for, right? I don't have a setup that I would take in here. I just don't. And you got to consider when you write in your journal, right? If you didn't get smoke going long down here, which I promise you a bunch of people did, and you didn't get smoke going short all the way up here, all you need to do is let the market develop for you, and you'll end up figuring out at some point you'll go, oh, I can see what they're doing now, and have a decent day, right? Very top of that little range. Yeah, everyone's a little bit tentative here because we're not below that 200 anymore. Kind of impulsed move. We've covered the range. If you looked at this, is that trend down or is that balance? Because it looks to me like we trapped back into the opening low, right? So range low, range high. Well, let's go to 830. Call that range high. Here we'll color these purple, pink. Okay, so now you have a wide IB. Right? So we're bearish. It's just pretend like that's one bar, right? Bullish above, bearish below, and outside that range, look for traps, right? Just like this guy got trapped, trap back in, over here, trap back in, or up here, unable to trap back in and trend up, right? That's how you'd kind of read that, and then go to the algos for the setup. That's your pick. The whole purpose behind all of this, although I didn't want to copy over from that chart, so that's chart number 9. Why do I have so much green stuff going on there? 24096. Oh, I know. That's a big bar. That was almost 100 points a bar right there. So if you wanted to break this in so you don't have all this colored green, just color off the top and the bottom or find a way to uniquely denote that that this is support right now. That's your biggest seller. Okay, so then the other piece over here is notice how like when we were getting the white bars. So if it was Tim I was coaching, I go, Tim, see how we're over the 200 and the white bar or variations there, like that orange bar, aren't falling away immediately, right? And that's your first clue that there's a change in character, right? White bar getting stuffed, orange bar getting stuffed. Doesn't mean it can't go down. It means it's harder to make that individual algo work. Whereas when we get underneath the 100 and 200, those guys evacuate the building underneath. If you're strategic in where you apply the use of that algo, your life gets a lot easier, right? So I'll be a lot more aggressive if we can get above this opening range, right? To the long side, I'll be much more aggressive on my longs. Like I don't think short above 25,114. I think short below the 100 and the 200 because otherwise I'm going to find myself getting my butt kicked as if we get a short squeeze going to the upside and it's Friday, right? So I'm just going to, like I said, protect what I have and do a good job with that. So if you went white bars down, right, here's your process. I'm going to go break even or stop. Stop, paid. You've got to let if you're going to do it, you got to let your odds play out I want to take those trades when we impulse move underneath the 200, come up, and I want to work towards my shorts. And I don't want to have to read the whole market, especially, so this has been there's one last piece I haven't discussed. This has been a particularly challenging week, right? And I find that I'm mentally tired on Friday and I make silly mistakes. And I've been trading pretty early this morning, right? So I'm just going to let this play out the way it needs to play out, but I don't want to be dumb in my choices, right? Now that's white bar down, and I would generally say that's good. I'm hoping that it'll wick back up into it and I can get a 1 bar stop. I don't know that we're short or long now because we're in this balance range. Obviously, I could have already scaled off, so that was dumb. I should have taken it, but again, I'm a little bit slow today. And we're coming back into the 24,948, which is the very top of this location over here where you have your biggest seller. Why do I have such a big area there? What is this? I want to erase this so I can see where it comes from. It's this. It's 24,946. Sorry, that's the only disadvantage of having that. I obviously should have pulled the trigger on that, and I did not. So, amen for the algos if they when we have that programmed. I am concerned about how tired I am today, by the way. Remember, every time someone makes a comment, it's just going to fly. Okay? Every time someone makes a comment, this thing's just going to fly today. And you're going to have all these politicians with the government shutdown. That just came across the tape where emboldened Democrats seek to block new GOP proposal to end shutdown. Wall Street Journal just came across. Okay, so let it settle. Once they get past all this bullshit, usually the rule of thumb is in high VIX after 10:30 is a lot easier than before 10:30. I'm just letting you know. Like that was just in 1 minute, basically, a roll from 58 to 22, 75 point, almost 75 point rotation, right? You can really get jammed doing this, trying to figure this out as opposed to letting just the thing settle out and play in your favor. And it's clearly already trading differently than it has the last 2 days. And not necessarily beneficially. So what I keep doing so I don't lose the patterns is I just mark. Look how many of the algos up are working. Right? That's different. Right? See that? Orange bars, green bars are lifting. Okay, so I want to watch that. Why? Not because I'm trading it, because I want to keep pace when things change. What I see is the white bar down's having a harder time and the bars on the turn are working better since 9:09 a.m. I don't have to now I don't have to start trading those right now, but I do have to acknowledge it, right? So that I can adjust my strategy as we go forward and I understand why the market's working the way it's working, right? So, and then I see that I'm not getting the white bars down that I want. Also, the 200 and the 100 are trading sideways. That's usually indicative of balance. And I tend to do best when they're either pointed up or they're pointed down. And when they're sideways like this, I've got to come out and take out edges to get paid. little things like that, right? And I can see I'm inside the entire range, opening range over here, right? I'm just going to let it play through, and I see that 32, which is what I said we have to be above that 25.032 in order to break out to the upside. And then the next piece is we have to be above 25.131. There's a lot of work to be done still. And I'll let it do it. And I'll let it do it without guessing at it. When you guess at the PA, you will lose the majority of the time because you're guessing on process is already rough. Guessing off process is just brutal, right? For every one you get, there'll be 5 that'll just smoke you, right? Like, so let's say I just guessed, oh, we're going higher. 24977 is going to hold. I'll guess it. Oh, there went 30 points or 20 points, $400 down per contract, right? It's really freaking fast, right? So if you're going to lose on process so I can correct you and you can correct yourself, right? Very, very important. White bar up, underneath the 200, underneath the 100, and I didn't take out a swing. So nothing was broken, nothing to do, even if I thought we were in balance, nothing to do for me there. I'm not going to trade that, right? I don't have the indication from the 1 minute bar, right? No green line came across. Not going to do anything there either, right? Why? I know that works, right? So I'm going to wait for it because, something just occurred to me today. I'm going to just go off on a little bit of a tangent, right? I didn't know this before. 1 million people in the United States have been laid off. 1 million, right? And what is sad is that trading is so hard and there's not a very easy way to train people how to trade the market. It's a pretty alien territory and it's a hard job, right? It's pretty alien territory and it's a hard job, right? There's so much nuance to learn, right? But wouldn't it be great if all those people, like every kid that graduated high school, had a basic rudimentary understanding of how to run your own business? Forget trading, but like, can you imagine the frustration of having a family and not being able to provide in any way? Now, take the flip side. We all have the ability to provide and learn and take money out of the market. But our job is to wait till the conditions set up correctly so we can just kind of pluck that money out of the air, right? We want to be able to pluck that money out of the air and put it in our pocket, right? 4,000 a day is $1 million a year. That's what everyone should be working towards. And you don't have to take more trades to do it. You should be working towards increasing your size. Start with 300 a day. Then go 500, 600, 1,000. 4,000 a day is $1 million. 1,000 a day is 250,000. How do you do that? By getting very, very specific on which trade you want to take and exactly how you want to take it. And you either want to end up with, on your best trades, I did nothing, I controlled my risk down, this works on most days, or I did it, or I got my algos, I got my setup, I did exactly what I did. Now, it doesn't work out, obviously, $1,000 every day. You'll have some days that are bigger than others. You'll have some days that are smaller than others. But what you're working towards is to get a mean over 200 days, 250 days of, you want to work your way towards, well, heck, even $500 is $125,000 a year, right? So just, that's what you're working your way towards with your best trades, right? And it would be nice if, which is what I've impressed upon my daughter, I don't know her numbers. She hasn't sent them to me. She's about to take the, whatever the law school entrance exam thing is. So I'm not going to bother her, but she makes $200 a day, give or take, right? Most days. And she's pretty happy with that. She's like, I make more than anyone else that I know in my class, as a student. It would be nice if we could give that to all people. They could come in and they would know, hey, this is how I make money. This is how I can make enough money to buy food for my family this week since my job is unavailable to me. But they don't teach that in school. So, and that's unfortunate. And it's not for everybody, right? Trading's not for everybody. But it'd be nice if it was. So just to give you a status of where we are, the market's down 1.22%, nothing excessive. We are now below the 200, so I'm looking for a counter rotation, and my white bar's down on the turn after preferably 3 bars up, at least 2. We're down 316 points. And ES is down only 48 points and trailing the amount that the NASDAQ is down by a good half a percentage point, right? So not parity there. And that may be a rotation out of NQ into protection stocks. You know, everyone acts like the roll down is a horrible thing. I think it's a good thing. If I was a trader, it would let me focus on the problem is in a super strong market, everything goes up, right? And it's really hard to discern what's good and what's bad. This will make pretty clear which stocks are the good stocks and which ones are the bad stocks. And if y'all will notice, guys in the room, I've really tried very hard, although I lost my cool once this week. Or maybe it was last week, last Friday, right? I've really made a very big effort to focus on I am trading a process and not the market, right? Like, why is it going up 200 points? Like, that's one of the things that went measure the move, right? Quite clearly, 25051 to 24882 to 25051, right, is a normal move in this market, right? As a matter of fact, what that's telling you is that it's totally possible to go all the way through this. This is a balance. That's the 32 tick. That's balance, right? If someone would disagree with me, please come and say, but that's a balanced market right there, right? So it came up to the edge, exhausted. So now the other side of the edge is the low of the day, or we have to establish an edge over here, break it, drop back in and go, right? So yeah, that's my 2 cents. And if you stay on process, you will be okay. If you guess, see that? See how it was a white bar and then all of a sudden it slams you out? You're going to have a lot of losses. Don't guess. And again, we're not even close. We can wait till 10:30 and start making money. I made myself one damn good cup of coffee this morning. Here's where retail traders really get crushed. People who've been shorting the lows the last couple of days have been making money. And if they keep doing that, they're going to keep. Look, if you shorted the lows today, you're wiped, right? If you keep thinking, oh, we're going to break, 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 you've just gotten your ass handed to you. There's no way you survive with 150 point rotations in the NASDAQ. And again, am I upset that I didn't get any of this? Nope. No white bars on the turn, which is what I said I was going to require to take a short, right? I've got this condition. I just need to be patient until the market gives me what I want and I'll get paid. Or I'll have risk control, one of the two. But hopefully it's the former, not the latter. And I know I'm into the biggest seller of the day down here, which is why if you were the biggest seller of the day, right? Or if you shorted down there and it ran all the way against you by 100 points, what are you going to do when it comes down here? You're going to go, oh, maybe, just maybe I need to cover. Now, if you get underneath them, 24,820, right? But either way, they'll work it out. I'll let them figure it out. Does anyone feel like is anyone confused? I'd go with the 1 minute, Joyce. Joyce asked if it was better to use the waves or to use the 1 minute. I'd use the 1 minute. The problem with the 1 minute, Joyce, is when we have wide ranges like this, it covers so much territory, right? Obviously going in for potential double bottom down here at the low of the day. I don't play the double bottom, so you have to be someone smarter than me to do that. That won't be hard. But it's 887 roughly. Again, I just didn't get my signal for it. I'd have gladly shorted that if I get a white bar down, but they didn't want to give me a white bar down, so that's okay. I like white bars. They're beautiful. As Donald Trump say, they're beautiful. They're gorgeous. When they turn, they give you so much money. They just didn't want to give it to me. They say the white bar down is the best technical indicator in the world. I don't say it. They say it. I'm not braggadocious. That's my Donald Trump impressions. Sorry, some people are throwing up right now. Oh. Someone playing for the double bottom is what that is. And maybe they'll get it, right? Like, we're not slamming. We're just kind of slow. The weird thing about this whole move is it hasn't been fast. It's been a pretty slow grind for the amount of points we've been covering. They just don't want to give me the white bar. They hate me. They don't like me. I'm too successful a trader. They won't give me the white bar on the turn. They're taking away my edge. But that's all right. That's all right. I'll just pass some laws to outlaw those people. I'll make them give me a white bar. By the way, now that New York City has I just messaged Ron. He's not in the room very often, but I messaged Ron last night, who lives in Manhattan. I was like, "Hey, brother, looks like I'm moving in. Gonna get me some rent control. I need something with about 10,000 square feet across from Central Park, and I can do $1,000 a month. Can you arrange that for me?" And he didn't think it was funny. He's like, "My building is all owned." But like, hey, I want to be able to afford to live in Manhattan. I can't. It's unaffordable to me, right? It should be. You should put it on my budget. I just can't afford 10,000 square feet across from Central Park. Look at how they're holding that 487850 double square up. I'm not taking it. Why? Low of the day. Everything's pointed down below the 100 and the 200. And if you want a better barometer, by the way, come over here. All you have to do on this chart. Okay, see when we start moving really wide, how we can start crisscrossing? Do this chart. Go to analysis, studies, moving average, settings. Oh no, I don't want this one. There we go. Settings, 100, cancel, duplicate it. So now we're on 9. Go to settings, make it whatever color you want. I'll do it purple. Okay. And then go settings and inputs. 400, and you'll have a more stable moving average. There. So when the range gets wider, that's all you have to do to adjust. Now when you look at the bigger picture, it'll make more sense to you. Okay, because you really want the 200 is pretty stable, right? So when you push to that 400 period, see that? See how it makes more sense there? And now if you, so I don't have a process around that 400. I just know when the ranges get real wide, and if it goes mega wide, you'll need an 800, right? So when it goes mega wide, but it'll help you figure out where we're turning, because see how we're just crisscrossing the 200 a lot right now? Okay, so the adjustment there can be, oh, I need it under the 400, and now that change. What I don't want to do is go change the whole process because we have a few days where it's really wide range. If it stayed like this, I would move to the 400. If we said, okay, it's been 3 weeks, we're not moving off of this, let me pivot. Now if I get the white bar underneath the 400, or I need to be above the 400 in order to go long, right? But you'll see if you go back to narrower ranges, the 400 will just trade sideways for a great deal of time here. So there's the 400, and see how it just doesn't become as useful, right? Like, see, it just, at any rate, I don't like it as much, except when we're really wide and I need a more stable way to determine which way the market's rolling. So that's how you change that, or add that to the chart. See, we broke the low there, and it's too bad they didn't give me a white bar down because I would have loved to grab that. And then the natural target is 24,820 to 24,800 now, which looks like we're going right towards it. It'd be good if we had some speed. That would at least show some panic, but we don't have that either. And I do not feel bad about not having anything in the US session on the books because nothing's set up on my process. And your day and your process should be judged, your day and how you traded should be based not on what the market's doing, but on what the opportunities your process afforded you and what you took. And I only missed one trade, and it was this one right back here. Somewhere here I missed it. It was white bar on the turn, and I watched it, and then it went, this one. That's the only trade I've missed today. And what I mean by missed is I didn't execute it because I looked right at it, and I tried to get it to wick back up into it, and I didn't get any, and it didn't, and that's that, right? So that's it. Other than that, I'm just sitting there. I have no damage done. I know what I need to be above to go higher, and now I'm monitoring over here for a new biggest seller to come in. But right now it's still this dude right here. You can mark that off. You need to surpass 5,000 contracts. And like I said, what happened there, right? Remember, he got traded above, he got short squeezed, right? He got short squeezed, came back towards him. He's like, I got to cover. Came back into him. I got to cover. Oh, snap. We're underneath. Backside test. Bye-bye. I've got the momentum again, right? That's what's going on. So when we come to this backside test, if I get a white bar down, as far down as we are, I'll take a 1 bar stop on trading that if it sets up, and it sets up slow enough that I can actually punch the button, right? And notice I don't have any green bars alerting me to potential reversals or anything else. And in general, I haven't been getting my trade set up, right? Like I didn't get a white bar down there. If it doesn't give me my white bar today, I'm going to sit there and watch it turn time after time and not get a trade. I don't care, right? I do not care. Why? Because I've been coaching for so long, and I know when I get people to take those trades in very specific fashion, they start printing money over and over again, right? And when they don't, and they go off on their own, they get it right one day and wrong 10 days. Right? And the one day never covers off the 10. And it's odd that we're down 387 points, and look how slow we're moving. Like, is it me, or is it just not odd? I think it's odd. Like we're actually trading pretty damn calmly for down 383. I wouldn't go like, wow, look at them try to get out. They're more like, let's see what we got. Maybe we'll trade, maybe we won't. We're not really worried about it. That's more concerning to me than anything else, quite frankly. $10 until the top of the half hour that goes into London close. Green bar down, I took that. Sorry, I didn't say it out loud. Variant of white bar. Stops 98. Trying to grab 10 on the scale. I haven't gotten it yet. And I may get stopped because it's not moving very fast. That's the only problem with shorting when it got slow like this. I don't know why we're so slow. My stop's in place. Come on, 3 more points. Oh, you dirty dog bastard. I don't know why we're going so slow. There we go, scaled. So now my risk is about 8 points on balance. I'll take another at 60 if it gives it to me. There's my first trade. Come on, 60. Got it. Stop to break even now. And if it goes, it goes. And if it stops, it stops. That's my trailer. Entry was roughly 83.50. Anyone else get it? Jason, did you grab it? My stop's now at break even, so if this thing rolls, I get paid. Target's down there at 24,820. And if it stops me on balance. Anyone else? I would be telling Tim he should have taken it. Nice job, Nate. I'd be telling Mr. Tim to take it, that's for sure. Was I comfortable taking it? Nope. Not down that much, but that's what I've been waiting for all morning. I already missed the first one. Nate, is it getting easier to put the P&L up and without trying to figure it all out? Like when you think about it on 10 micros, it's about $300, right? That trade's about $300 right there. Good, right? Just remember, we're very lucky to have this process and this system to get paid. I'm not aggrandizing myself. I'm just saying that's a fact. We are lucky to have a process where we don't have to figure it out every freaking day, right? We come in, I don't even need the levels to trade it. I need the moving averages and those bars, right? And the squares to make money. I missed it. I would have taken it. Sorry. I was looking left and I didn't see the green bar form. I won't chase it. Just stay on process. That's all I can say. I mean, it is so weird to be down 400 points and have the pace of the market be this. Like, it's just, if you asked me, I'd be like, for $500, what market moves slow? I'd be like, August with a 30-point range. Nope. It's NQ in November with a 400-point range. And I haven't covered my trailer yet. It stops out at break even, but I would have re-added on that, at least for a quick scalp. I hate doing that at the low of the day, but what it says to do. Come on, 24,820. You can do it. Talk about a slow burn. Damn. Can you imagine someone bottom fishing this thing? That would suck. That I won't take. If we're too close to support, it's just been too many with no rotation up. I'll wait. And it's right before 10 o'clock, so yeah, I'll just chill. I'll come out at 24, 8. Well, hell, what am I doing? Flat right here, 27. All out on the trailer. There's nothing to benefit on that from just holding on to it that tightly. 101, and we'll see what London wants to do. Now this is a really quiet roll down, really quiet. Ah, dang it. I wasn't looking. I missed that white bar down again. It's all right. You know, when it's slow like this and people are shorting at the bottom, man, I'd be scared to, if I wasn't just scalping in and out. Dude, I can't believe I just missed that. That's all right. I'll get my next. I'll get my next. Green bar, yellow dot up. But no, no push, nothing strong down there. I don't know. No need to bottom pick this, guys. Zero, zero, zero need to bottom pick this. Let them do what they've got to do to get the selling done with. I'm mad that I'm not short there, but that's all right. I know this will get better after 10:30, I think. Telling you, just don't do anything is better than trying to guess this bottom. It'll be easier after it launches 200 points up than it will be, or even 300 points up than it is trying to find the bottom down here. VIX is at 21.44. That's weird to have VIX up and have such a slow day, but that's what we got. And down, down, down we go. And where it'll stop, nobody knows. Nobody even cares. This is pretty cool on Google. If you put up VIX, every time it changes, it does this rolling like, look, look, look. See that? Isn't that cool? Watch, it'll do it again in a minute if it goes up. Up 10% today. Anyways, I thought that was cool. One of these double squares will launch this thing up, and I will not have it because I am not going to bottom pick a thing that looks like this. That is for smart people, not for me. I'm dumb. I just like it easy with momentum on my side. I played that game. I wasn't smart enough to win. I couldn't stand the stops or the stress. Down 456. And guys, is everyone in the room doing okay? Everyone should be fine, really. You're either up or you're flat, one of the two. Am I wrong? Jason, you okay? I think everyone's pretty good shape. Oh, Friday? Oh. You want to send me a DM and explain that? No? Okay. Oh, wait. Does that go to our prior conversation? I know why. Okay, so this is what's going on, Jason. You can hear me, right? You're trading in the same chart book that has type 2 checked off. You have a trader assist open that has type 2 checked off in the over here. If you go analysis studies in your modular auto trader, type 2 is checked off. And so each time you're opening that trade, it's closing it out because there's no offsetting stop on it. Does that make sense? Got it. I've had that. It's very frustrating. Like you enter and it stops you for 3 points immediately, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's how you fix that. Or just open a new chart book just with a dome in it, or open a second instance just with your trading in it, just with your trading account in it, and do it that way. I think that any of those solutions will fix that. And then test it with a micro or test it in sim to make sure it's working. Let me see this. Hold on, Jason. I'm going to call you. 1 second. Hey, Jason. Good morning. How are you, man? So, good, good. Sorry, I didn't wait for the answer, which was totally rude. So, what I want you to do is go into a second download, not a second instance, like a totally different download of it, and open that up. Can you do that real quick? Or let's do this to figure out. Shut down all your trader assists and just open Sierra chart with no charts in it at all, and open a trading dome for it. Let's test it that way. Okay. Their own download. Okay. Okay. So take that one and shut everything in that chart book down. Close all those chart books. Okay. Okay. Don't do that right now. First, go to go to the one you just shut down, meaning the chart book, and within that CR chart, open a trading dome. Like just go file, You should see under File, Open Trading Dome or something like that. You should see it on the left where I go to my screen, go File, yeah, Open Trading Dome. And then it should give you a menu to drop down, find NQZ, or type in the symbol, or it should be under CME. Okay, and in that, you want to, yeah, Open Trading Dome. Okay, okay, put it in sim to make sure you don't get whacked right away. You don't have to lose any money. Correct. Okay. And then place a trade, see if it closes it right away. One of your charts in there has that type 2 thing. You don't know which one it is. I'll sort through it with you later. But that's why. So that's how you can trade that. You won't have that problem anymore. You bet. Okay. And the way you manage that is in one chart book, just have, as long as they're in two separate chart books, but within the same Sierra chart, they'll both run. Okay. In other words, you have to have one, you can have both experimental 1 minute and you can have TNP experimental 1 minute below 200, both running, as long as they're separate chart books. But then you have to have your trader, if you have that type 2 on, you just have it in a separate download and it'll let you do both. You can have type 2 in one set and no type 2 in another. Does that make sense? Okay, and if you need more help, just let me know. I'm happy to jump on with you. It's Friday, so. Uh, okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Well, I'm here for you, brother, if you need anything. See you. Bye. And that's about the fastest movement I've seen in about an hour. So I don't know if we have anything else coming up. Oh, Trump at 10 o'clock. Let's see. What did we have? We had New York inflation expectations was at 10 a.m. 10:30. Oh, 10:30 Trump. And then U.S. Baker Hughes total rig count. And then 2 o'clock Fed's Marin speaks. And that's what we got. Pretty slow for down this much, I'll tell you that. Nothing wrong with it. Just that's what it is. But it's been a good day. I didn't have a lot of pickings, but the pickings I got paid me. And you can tell the difference when it's fast or slow because see how nothing is printing as far as algos go in the 1 minute to carry over. See that? That's pretty normal. All week long we've had that. It can spread out and get pretty thin, but it's pretty normal to have them when there's pace. Even in trend up, we get them, right? Not over here. It's just super slow. Can we go at 3:30 to look at the new office space? Or what time is your appointment? Is it just a 1 hour appointment and you're done? I'd like to be back here by 1 if I go with you. Okay, guys, on YouTube, it's been a slow morning. I'm going to kill it right there. But we got our trades, and we'll be back on process on Monday. Come join us. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a wonderful weekend.